As my mind is working overtime in my eminent success of making baby plants, I just want to focus on the possibilities. Hi, I'm Willie and this is the Breslin, and today we're going to make a propagation box so we can make baby plants. That sounds very exciting. Recently I've discovered that I've become quite bold with this, and I used to be terrified of cutting up my plants, but now it's like second nature. Once you start, you just can't stop, like Pringles. I'm going to show you what I know about where to cut so you know that your cuttings have the best chance of success. So I've got a clear Tupperware bin, I've got copious amounts of perlite, I got a metric ton of plants. So let's get started. So this is my clear storage bin. You have to have a clear one so it doesn't block photosynthesis. I can't talk. So I upcycled this from my basement to use it today. I'm looking at my wall, and the plants that I'm most excited to make cuttings of today are my Baltic blue pothos, my scindapsus, and probably my pink princess. But I feel like I might make another video about that. Let me know in the comments if that would be interesting enough to make a full video on. I think it would be. And I am wearing my pink Barbie shirt. The future is pink. I'm just gonna hold this like a baby. I'm going to be exclusively using perlites for this propagation box, and that reason is my friend Kathy, who is a genius at plants, fast-tracked me onto this modality. And there are lots of options. People use moss, they can use leca balls, you can use just soil. I have used in the past just water, but I'm quite excited to use perlite because it is a much closer to sterile medium, and it also doesn't have nearly as many issues with rotting. And I kind of want to have the attitude that this propagation box is a set it and forget it and just check back on the cuttings every so often. And with perlite, you are theoretically able to do that. I will report back if it backfires. I don't know, I'm very optimistic on this. I think it's gonna work. Let's get this perlite into the box. All right, it looks like I'm only gonna need one bag. So surprisingly, perlite actually absorbs water, which probably everyone but me knew. That's why we're gonna add water, let it soak and absorb for a while so that it can give the much needed moisture to our baby plants. This stuff is quite dusty, so be aware. And this will test if my container is watertight or proof or whatever I want to say. Now that that's full, I'm just going to take a chopstick and stir it around. And the top of mine is still quite dry. An all-like tool works better than a spoon because this stuff just sticks to anything it touches. Perlite's creepy. I'm going to need a sieve, I think. And see, that's why we don't wash that down the drain. Okay, so we're at the halfway point. This is where I always pooter out, but we're going to give ourselves a pat on the back. I don't know, I feel like domestic malaise and completing projects is becoming synonymous with my identity, but I'm kind of okay with that. Someone was taking a nap, which is the right idea. This dog's life. Okay, so I drained this. It's nice and moist. I hate that word. This stuff is silty as fuck. You don't hear that a lot in a sentence. So make sure when you're draining it to put it in your yard and not down your drain, because I just don't think that could be good for your pipes at all. And nothing's gonna be worse than trying to make a bunch of free plants and then have to spend like $5 grand getting your pipes remade. Why look, a plethora of trailing plants that are easily propagatable. Let's pick some choice vines here. This Baltic blue needs a substantial haircut anyway. It is growing some new vines at the top, but I want to chop these runners off and then propagate some to make the top fuller. These are my scissors. I just got them out of the dishwasher. Also, I'm going to sanitize them in between chopping on every plant, which I won't bore you of showing you the process of spraying alcohol on them and wiping them. I'm going to leave some of the healthier long ones. I'm so scared. Such a baby bee. This Scindapsus needs all the help it can get. This enjoy is also a little bit thin at the top, so just for good measure, let's take a few as well. Also, bonus propagation content. This is my Monstera Peru cuttings that I have in water. One's already made a root, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so here's our yield. Now I'm going to show you my rules of thumb for creating the best propagations and conserving the most space in water, perlite, or anything you're doing with these. So here is our enjoy pothos, and as you can see, these are nodes. A good way to identify that is it has these two little eyes, and that's where we're going to cut. So the first cut, since we want to conserve right here, is going to be just a little bit down from that. Technically that's a node, but I'm not going to mess with it, so I'm going to cut right here. And then all we have to do is submerge that in the moistened perlite. Another node. And it's the same with the Baltic blue. They have the two little eyes. So just cut below that, and then you can cut above it too. Perfect, in my book anyway. And I actually just started doing this a few months ago and trusting myself, so that feels almost like confidence. And it's the same thing for the Scindapsus. Exciting, it's free plants. Well, you kind of already paid for them. And this can all be disposed of or put into a compost bin or whatever you want. Now we're just going to use this chopstick to put little holes where we're going to put the cuttings into the perlite, if that makes sense. All right, so there we have it. We got these propagations into the perlite. I feel like sometimes just being bold enough to push them down in works, and I did also utilize my chopstick. This is such a fun project. I can't wait to show you guys how these are coming along in a few weeks. Also, it's worth mentioning when propagating a lot of plants, they actually hold intellectual property patents, so be careful with that. Do your research, especially if you're going to be reselling them. I'm not. I'm just doing this for my personal plants to make them a little bit more robust, but it is something to be aware of. Ooh, that enjoy just looks so nice. I'm anxious to see if the Scindapsus gets any roots going. Ooh, they're fragile. There's my couple of little sea boot blues. And that is my indoor garden. All right, well that's another project to put a check mark through that I've been meaning to do. I can't wait to see how these propagations fare. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and listening to me muse. Take care of yourself. Count down the hours to the Barbie movie with me. And I'm going to talk to you so soon. Okay. Bye-bye. I think the other take was better. I gotta have lots of takes to talk about my emotions.